Hi, how is everyone today? Okay, I believe I have everything working properly. The rest of our meeting today is going to talk about the beta software program that Apple's got out for the new iOS system and the new Mac OS system. We're going to keep it fairly brief. We will take questions. I was hoping to do more of a presentation of the new software for you, but part of the beta program is agreeing not to publicly post, blog, write, or present anything that you're learning about this. So we're going to go over some things. If you want to know more about the features of the new operating systems, if you haven't already seen it, I highly recommend that you view the last keynote presentation that Apple put out back in June. They go over everything on there. There are so many wonderful new features that are coming out. It would be a very long list to go over all of them. Personally, the biggest thing that this new software is going to do that I am excited about is the ability to use your Apple Watch to unlock your computer, to save you from having to type in your password. Yeah, it's not a big deal, but a lot of things aren't a big deal either, especially when you can use your fingerprint reader on devices. That's pretty cool. I am also pleasantly surprised with how Siri is working in this operating system as well. So, moving on. So, what is beta software? These are going to be some of the guidelines we're going to go over about installing it and using it. We're pretty much going to talk about the pros and cons of running beta software on your computer, on your iPhone, your iPad, or iPod Touch. Maybe this is more along the lines of a best practices. If you've never run beta software before, then this is going to be something that should be terrifying or, oh, that sounds really cool to do. What you see up on the screen is directly from the Apple website related to the beta program. And that's what I meant. So, as it says, the Apple Beta Software Program lets users try out pre-release software. Pre-release being the key word. The feedback you provide on quality and usability helps us identify issues, fix them, and make Apple software even better. Please note that since the public beta software has not been commercially released by Apple, it may contain errors or inaccuracies and may not function as well as commercially released software. They are telling you right up front, it's broken. So if you view it that way, your experience with beta software is great because you're going to be able to find the bugs and you'll be able to even let Apple know about this. The most important part, I think, in their statement is the next paragraph. Be sure to back up your Mac using Time Machine and your iOS device with iTunes before installing the beta software. Install only on non-production devices that are not business critical. We strongly recommend installing a secondary system device or on a secondary partition on your Mac. So, they're telling us to back up. That's something that I think MacGroup Detroit has always tried to trumpet as often as possible. This is not commercial software. You are in test land. You are being the guinea pig. You're using your computer for this. They are telling you right up front, back your stuff up first. They are telling you to back it up using Time Machine. Should you want to use a different backup program, like Carbon Copy Cloner or Super Duper, go ahead. That's good too. Apple's going to suggest using what they make, what they produce, which is Time Machine software. The good thing to note is for anyone that's running an iOS device, such as an iPhone, an iPad, or an iPod Touch, and you're going to put iOS 10 on it, what you want to do is make sure that you have it backed up via iTunes, not backed up via iCloud. You want to do it to your computer. And as a side note, do it to your computer before you upgrade your computer to the beta software. That way, when you make that time machine backup of whatever operating system you're currently in, your backup's there and life is better. A whole lot better. They're also suggesting, well, they're encouraging you not to use this on business critical machines. So if you only have one computer, you don't want to be a beta tester unless you can partition your hard drive and put that operating system on the secondary partition of your drive. Because if you put it on your main system, sure as shooting, something's going to go wrong and you're going to be quite unhappy about having downtime. And if you use this for a business, everyone knows time is money. Downtime is never wanted by anybody. Because you have these options, they tell you about these options, so it doesn't affect your livelihood in a negative manner. The public beta software program is very, very different than the developers program. For more information on the developers program, visit the Apple's website and just look up the SDK and you can get more info there. So, some questions on the beta software. So, they're asking, what's required to participate? The only thing you need to participate in this program is a valid Apple ID. If you have a valid Apple ID and you accept the terms that they are putting out, you can join the program. You can run the software, which is really good. Second, do you have to pay for this? No. This software and the program are absolutely free. Again, you're agreeing to the terms that Apple puts out for you to use this, so it's a good idea to read the terms instead of just click, click, click. Make sure you read this so you know what you're really in for. This one I found interesting. Will I be paid to test the beta software? Apple's answer is pretty simple. No. The program is voluntary. There is no compensation for your participation. This part, the last one here, is Apple Beta Software Program confidential? Yes, yes it is, which is why I had to change my presentation for today, because it is confidential. The public beta software is confidential. Don't install public beta software on any systems you don't directly control or that you share with others. Don't blog, post screenshots, tweet, or publicly post information about the public beta software, and don't discuss the public beta software with or demonstrate it to others who are not in the Apple Beta Software Program. By a show of hands, how many people are in the Beta Software Program? Okay, so the three of us can talk about this later, but we're not going to have four of us. Yes?
If you're in the developer preview business, can you talk to the beta users, vice versa?
I would think so. If you're in the software developer program, I would think you would be able to do that. It's my understanding, though, that the developers program, which you pay to join, the versions of the software that they're running is a step ahead of the public beta software. So that's my understanding. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty confident in that statement. Now, if Apple has publicly disclosed technical information about this, it's no longer considered confidential. So talking about using your watch to open up your computer, we can talk about that because Apple had that in their keynote presentation. And again, it's a really great feature, I believe. So, How do you provide feedback to Apple? You're testing the software. Hey, I found something that it's not working right. My mail is doing this, it used to do that. How do I tell Apple it's doing this? The macOS and the iOS public betas come in with a built-in feedback assistant app. Pops up in your dock when you load the software, so that way you can click it, send them a note, it shoots it off to Cupertino. Some software engineer reads it, makes note of it, and then promptly ignores you. They will not respond to you for most part, unless what you found is truly earth-shaking. Then you will probably get contacted. Let's see. The Feedback Assistant app is also available in any of the software programs that are Apple programs. And if you go to the help menu, you can choose send feedback. Apple would definitely like you to send them feedback because you're helping them get all the bugs out of the software before it becomes a commercially released project. How does the Apple Beta Software Program contact you? They contact you via your Apple ID. So whatever email account you use for your Apple ID, that's where they're going to send you an email. So if you are taking part of the program, you would want to probably check that junk folder every now and then to make sure that it's nothing that you're missing coming from Apple. And if they are getting a hold of you, you must have found something pretty important. And so that's great, because now suddenly you're helping millions of people because you found a bug. How do I get the public beta software? As a member of the Apple Beta Software Program, you'll be able to enroll in the Mac or iOS device to get the latest beta, as well as subsequent updates, directly from the Mac App Store or the iOS software update. I have found, by doing some of the public betas on the last couple of operating systems, when you go to download it, it has you sign in with your Apple ID. The one weird thing that I have found personally is it makes me change my password when I set up the Apple ID. It won't let me use the password I've currently been using. It really wants security to be there. They want you to come up with a new password, and it is, again, the ever famous, nothing you've used in the past year, and if it's a common word, they will stop you in your tracks and say, that's too weak, you can't use it. As anybody that has tried to reset their Apple password in the last probably 6 months has found out, the ones that we used to use can't do it anymore. If it's a weak password, it will not let you progress. If it's a moderate password, it will. If it is a strong password, not a problem in the world. So the ever famous uppercase letter, a couple of numbers, lowercase letters, maybe a symbol. Make it difficult. Don't make it a common word. If it's something that can be found in the dictionary, pretty much it's probably going to get bounced. Although I have heard of people that will type in words backwards to use it that way. That's not bad. I really like Chuck Friedman's suggestion for making your password. That was, I like chocolate cake with sprinkles, ... with whatever password you used before. Because suddenly, that's a really long password. It's really hard to guess. So not a good idea, or not a bad idea, I'm sorry. The next one, should I install this on your only Mac, iPhone, iPad, or iPod Touch? Nope. Nope. Not a good idea. Maybe you weren't paying attention earlier when I said don't put it on your only device. So if you do this, it's really not a good idea. I do know some people that they only have one iPhone and they're running the iOS 10 software on it. And it's buggy because it's a beta. And every time that they complain about a buggy thing, we usually at work will do but you're helping everybody. Yeah, but my phone doesn't work. Yep. But but that was your call. You made that decision. So that being said, I'd like to talk about the system requirements for running the new software on your computer and then on your iOS device. So the two questions you need to know is, what systems can run macOS reliably? And does my system meet these requirements? So this is a list that Apple has put out. If you have an iMac that is a late 2009 or newer, or in this case later, a MacBook, the white MacBook, that's a late 2009 or later, a Mac Pro 2010 or newer, MacBook Air 2010 or newer, Mac Mini 2010 or newer, or a Mac Pro 2010 or newer. You can run the beta software for macOS Sierra on these devices. Now, I'd like to put a little caveat to that. There we go. If you are going to run this on these computers, I would highly recommend that you have a minimum of 4 gigs of memory to run this. Mavericks, Yosemite, El Capitan all said you need a minimum of 2 gigs of memory. And that's true if all you want to do is just fire up the system and go from there. If you want to open up Mail and Safari and Photos and other software, you're going to see that beach ball, because you're really utilizing all that system memory with only 2 gigs as part of what you've got. On average, people running Yosemite or El Capitan are using between 1.25 gigs to 1.5 gigs of their memory just to power on the machine. So if you only have 2 gigs of memory, you are going to see that beach ball in no time at all. I know I don't like seeing it spin, and if you're the person that likes to have multiple programs running at the same time, do yourself a favor, upgrade your memory on your machine if you can before you do this. A big surprise was the inclusion of the 2009 iMac, even though it's the late one, and the MacBook. The white MacBook in the unibody style was made in 2009 and in 2010. I'm quite surprised that they wanted to include those into this program, but my understanding is some of this has something to do with processor power as well as potentially GPU usage. So apparently these machines just make it in. I would expect that people running a 2009 iMac or a 2009 MacBook will probably not see the fastest speed because of their processor not being able to handle everything. It should work, but as Terry used to say, your mileage may vary. And I think it's going to really be poor mileage on those older machines. The weird part is, as Patrick was saying before, Apple views certain models of a certain age to be vintage, which is typically anything more than 5 years of age from date of purchase, or obsolete. Obsolete is anything that is 7 years or older from date of purchase. The 2009 iMac and MacBook are definitely vintage, and they are fast approaching the obsolete status. Probably really fast approaching that. But using that logic, many of the 2010 models are also in the vintage category and will be joining the obsolete category probably by the end of the year or the beginning of next year. Apple will drag their feet on officially giving them the title of vintage and obsolete, but once it gets the title, it doesn't change back. It's there forever. Mary?
Can you help us understand, those of us that are
Right, yes,
and the OS.
sure.
And so that's where all this compatibility comes into the picture. But in other words, those earlier logic boards, processors would not handle what the OS was asking them to do.
That is correct. So the earlier models, the processor that's on those, since Apple has switched over to Intel processors, the earlier processors don't have the oomph to run the new software in combination with the graphic processor that is in those models. So for some people, the easy term for graphic processor would be the video card, depending on what computer we're talking about. On a lot of Apple's products, the video card is now part of the logic board, especially in portable units, and the processor is also part of the logic board. If we don't meet that minimum requirement, then that operating system is unable to be installed on that. So at that point, you're just spinning your wheels. And so Apple is trying to let you know, hey, these machines will do it. It wouldn't surprise me if they drop the 2009 models when it officially releases, because they may find that it's not reliable enough. So we'll know more probably end of August, when Apple probably gets further along in this program and gets ready to release this new software. Because I believe it is. They haven't put a date on it, but I have read fall for when it should be coming out. Typically, the Mac OS has been released end of August, early September. The iOS software updates typically coincide with the release of new mobile products such as phones and iPads, and that is usually end of September, beginning of October. So,
And how will we know about compatibility of our other programs with the new iOS?
you won't. You will need to check with, so if you're a person that is a Quicken person and runs QuickBooks, you would want to check with them before upgrading to this software. Some people have said so far that with the new operating system and this beta program, that their Adobe programs are working. So they're pretty happy about that. But other programs are going to be on a case-by-case basis with your manufacturer of that software. So just keep that in mind before you do this upgrade. You're on your own for due diligence to make sure that this software will work for you. Again, that's why Apple says, don't put this on a business critical machine. You want to use this as on a spare machine or create a spare partition. So now, just to finish on this, there are a lot of older machines that can run El Capitan or Yosemite, some 2008 machines and early 2009s. They run it just fine. Again, memory is always an issue for how the software is going to run. The more you have, technically, the better it should run. So I think this is why they put this list out and where they're going. So just keep that in mind. Now, for iOS devices, if you have a current iOS device, you should be good to go if you want to do the beta software for that. If you have an iPhone 4S or older, you're not running iOS 10. If you have a first generation iPad mini, which I have, I will not be running iOS 10 on that either. iPad 2s are being pulled because of the processor. And then the iPod Touch 5th generation also does not make the cut. What these devices all have in common is they are running an A5 chip in the device or older. That won't work with iOS 10. You need to be higher than an A5 chip in your device. And that's just where you're at. From what I understand, there's not going to be a workaround on getting that to work on your older iOS devices. So if you can't live without the new features that are going to be in iOS 10, then you probably want to visit an Apple store and look at upgrading your device to something new. Apple does offer a recycling program for older devices. I will tell you that the price changes weekly on what the current value of that product is. So another option would be to look at a company online such as Gazelle.com. They offer pretty good prices on purchasing your device from you. If you don't want to have this older device, they'll buy it from you. So you can go from there if you'd like to do it. Gazelle.com, just like the animal, and you can look and see what the current value is and decide if maybe you want to go that way. As long as your device is in good shape, no obvious damage, you should be able to sell it and get a decent amount of money for it still. So,
Dave,
Okay.
what's the best way for us to know? Like, I have an iPad mini here.
yes,
It doesn't say iPad mini, it doesn't say generation, it doesn't say anything like that.
right?
It's got a model number and a serial number, but I have no idea whether this is a generation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 99, or what.
So, Mac Tracker is a wonderful piece of software to let you find out what you have. If you go into settings and you see which model it is, you can pull the model number up and go from there. Another easy way is to go to the Apple website. And you can go and say, where it says, hey, see what your warranty status is, and type in your serial number. If you type it in, it'll tell you what your warranty status is. It also tells you what model you have. It will tell you if you have an iPad Mini 2 or an iPad Mini 1. Brian?
You hook it up to your computer and start up iTunes.
You can do that as well too. Yep. So there's a number of different options to find out which model you have. I would think most people probably know if they have an iPad 2 or if they have an iPad 4. I would think most people would know, am I on a 4S or am I on a 6S? So if you need help with that, you can always visit an Apple store and they'll be happy to tell you, or you can look it up yourself, saving you the drive. So just keep that in mind. So I've had a couple of people ask me about, can I get the macOS Sierra to run on a non-supported piece of equipment? I have a 2008 Mac Pro tower. I'd love for the software to run on that tower. Some people have found ways to make this happen, but there's a cost. So, can you install it if it's not listed? Sorta. What drawbacks are there? Let me start the list. The drawbacks are most likely deal breakers for, I would say, most people. My understanding is, if I was to try and get this on my tower, Wi-Fi won't work.
It's minor.
Yeah, it's minor. Unless you're hardlined in, then it's not a big deal. But in my case, I'm not. I use Wi-Fi on my Mac Pro. So I could see somebody saying, hey, I've got an early 2009 MacBook. Why can't I'll just do that. Well, but you don't have Wi-Fi working. And there's no way to fix that. There are ways online, people that have found ways to take the software, put it on a flash drive, install certain patches to make it work. If you want to try and do it just so you can say, I did it, congratulations, cool. If you want to do it so you can squeak another year out of your life out of your computer that is probably obsolete, let it go. Just let it go. I have decided that I'm not going to ever see this on my Mac Pro. I'm just going to be fine and dandy. I run 10.6 and I run 10.11 on my Mac Pro. I have two different drives in there, so I can run both things for certain software that I need to run. But that doesn't really help a lot of people that are on a portable computer. So if you are running an older one, again, now would probably be time, if you want to run the new software, to consider going to a newer machine. I'm not saying you have to walk in the Apple store and drop down your hard-earned money today or tomorrow for a brand new machine, but it would be a good idea to consider finding a machine that maybe is 2010 or newer and go from there. There are a lot of people, like Patrick was saying, they've got a 2012 device and they want a new one. I don't know why you need the new one unless you're using it for business. But if you're that person that has to have the new car every 2 years and that's how you do it, and that's how you are with your computer too, cool, all right. You're not going to have problems running the software. But if you're a person that has an older vehicle and you don't rush to upgrade to a new car every couple years, same thing with your computer, then that's where you're at as well. So just keep that thought in mind that you may need to finally take that step forward to something newer than what you're currently running, if, and only if, this software appeals to you and you want to be able to run it. Support options. This one I'm just tickled to talk about. So I've had people ask me before, does running this beta software void my warranty? Whether it's on a computer or an iPhone or an iPad or an iPod Touch. No, it does not. It does not void your warranty. You're just running software. Now, do you need help? You have questions on this software? Where do I go to get help? Well, you use the feedback assistant and you send it in and you hope that you get an answer. Do you go to an Apple store for help on this? No. Because if you go to the Apple store, they're not going to support beta testing software. They are not. The best they will be able to do to assist you will be to erase your device and reload it with the previous system that you were running before, which comes back to you backed up before you did this, right? Okay, so hopefully you did, because that's the only way you're going to put your information back on the system. So again, this does not void your warranty. Rarely will software cause a hardware failure. I was going to say it'll never cause a hardware failure, but I'm not going to be that person to say that, because it'll happen and then it'll be my fault. So just know that software, I would say probably in the high 90s, the percentage of it causing hardware failure is not there. I've spoken with a number of people that I installed this new app on my phone and it broke my phone. No, it didn't. Your phone was broken already. You just didn't realize it. Something was going. It's a coincidence that that app got installed on your computer, your phone, your iPad. That is not the reason your Wi-Fi stopped working. Your Wi-Fi stopped working because there's a hardware issue. So, again, you want to back up. So how do you get back to your previous version? Okay, you've got your backup. What you would do is you're going to erase the software, the beta software on your device. On a computer, you can use disk utility, repartition the drive, you start over fresh, boom, and then reinstall from your last backup. Because you can go into the recovery mode, you can reinstall from that last backup, and life is good again. Or if you need more help, you can go to the Apple Store and they will reinstall it for you at no charge. Just make an appointment, you'll be in and out in under 30 minutes with a lot of luck. Depending on the store you go to. And then same thing with your iOS device. So you've run iOS 10 on your iPhone 6 Plus. Okay. I've had enough. I want to go back. I'm tired of all the bugs and stuff that I'm finding. I want functionality. You would restore that device through iTunes. in a previous operating system, not in the new beta software. Once you've done that, then you can restore your backup to it from iTunes, not necessarily iCloud. And I believe that they're encouraging people to do it this way so there's no conflict with your iCloud backup not coming back on correctly. The steps to go through all these methods are available on the Apple website. So if you need help, you can go to apple.com and under support, you can just type in the search field what you're looking to do, and it should pop up that page for you and make your life a little bit easier. Next. Man, this is going so well. Do you want to leave the program? Leave? Why would you want to leave? We're all family here. You just don't leave family. Oh, wait, wrong family. So, to leave the program, you simply log into the beta software program page and you unenroll. That's all there's to it. You follow the instructions and life is nice and simple, and you're now outside of the program. What happens if you stay? If you stay with the program, you will see it through. You will get the updates that I really hope you will run every time they push an update down. And there is the possibility that when future beta programs come out, you may get an email ahead of some other people, would you like to join this program? Because you were a participant in the last time. I'm not saying that is a guaranteed that it will happen, but it is a possibility. So that's where you're at there. And then this is for Phyllis. Yeah. So, speaking of family, we are going to have an Afterglow this evening at the Olga's at 12 Mile and Southfield Road. So hopefully as many people that is possible want to attend will attend, and we'll have a nice Afterglow at that point in time. So at this point in time, we are wrapping up pretty much right where I was hoping we'd wrap up. So, do we have any questions?
Without divulging any confidential information,
Yes.
does Mac OS Sierra, is it fundamentally the same as Yosemite? I mean, it has
As Yosemite or El Capitan?
Or El Capitan.
Okay. For the most part, there are a whole lot of similarities. The new features are where it definitely takes a jump over. So,
Those are superimposed, rather than.
yeah, I would say, yeah, they're more superimposed. So the use of Siri is pretty darn cool. And I think I can get away with saying that because that's what they said in the keynote. The ability to use an Apple Watch to walk up to your computer and unlock the screen is pretty nifty, at least for me. I think it is. No, it's not hard to type a password,
What
but
I'm trying to say is that relative to compatibility with other applications.
I would,
If it's fundamentally the same, the applications may not be able to take on Siri, for example, or other features.
right,
But does it still run?
Dave,
yes,
I think that if you want to use the old timey computer language, any user mode program shouldn't see any difference at all. But if you
Right.
use anything special that the operating system does for you, then that'll change. And the Siri interface is one of the special things the operating system does for you. So that will change.
yeah. So again, pros, cons. You're the only one that can judge what's best for you on this situation. I, so far, have been pleasantly pleased with how it runs. Once the software is officially out, we will have a meeting going over all the great features and going from there. Some of the programs have been without naming specific programs, some programs have been optimized and seem to work better. So I can't tell you which programs, but some of the programs where, oh, I didn't know there was a problem till now, and oh, well, this is a good fix. I haven't seen anything that's disappointed me yet in this one, although I fully expect to hopefully find something that I'm like, that's not how it worked before. But for right now, I'm quite encouraged about what I've seen. So we'll leave that at that wiggle room. Steve?
I participated in several of the beta, public betas, and as mentioned, Apple does provide you with this feedback mechanism to report issues or something like that. They actually do sometimes seem to pay attention, because I've actually had them come back and contact me and say, could you get this in more information for us, or could you try this? Or very often, during the beta, they will release several different versions. You know, they will have a beta, and then maybe in 3 or 4 weeks, they'll have another beta and all that stuff. And they will come, I've had them come back to me and say, we think we fixed this problem, could you try it and let us know? So if you're in the beta program, it really is important that you give Apple this feedback. Because if you don't tell them, they may not know that there's an issue.
Yep. So it works well. Yes?
How do, I would assume that all of the programs that I'm using could use on my Apple Mac product, but are compatible with this new version. Does Apple contact them, or are they going to, the third party, the other party, have to wait until I go, your program's no longer?
No. So my understanding is third-party companies that develop software already have this already.
Are they part of the beta process?
No, they're actually part of the developer process, so a step up. So they're ahead of where I currently am, where Steve is, where Phyllis is.
Yeah,
So if you are on the latest operating system currently, El Capitan,
No.
all right, so which one are you on?
And the reason I'm saying that is, my place of employment doesn't support Mac at all. And to keep my Mac functioning, anything I do could get them disabled.
So what operating system are you running?
The one before,
So Yosemite 10.10,
yeah,
okay.
and updating it all the time. But
Okay.
the thing is, every time my employer changes, it's a school district. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of firewalls for incoming and searching by students and staff. I'm a librarian, so for a while I had an upper grade, and then the last time I found out that they had changed changed suppliers, all of a sudden I was K-12. And the one that they got was very super not conservative politically, but very narrow. And I could get anything that was appropriate for K-3 until I could get to the guys to open it up.
Sure.
But now that has nothing to do with the operating system, it has to do
Right,
with
so,
all of the bits and pieces. Technology is really great when it works, but it's all dependent on its weakest link.
so is it my understanding that you're using your personal computer at work?
No, I'm one of the last of the Mac
Okay.
users at work.
Okay,
And
well,
therefore
good.
are surrounded by a system that
Right.
has firewalls all over.
So you're,
But now at home, I also have Mac, my own,
right,
which I did not upgrade because I wanted to be able to go back and forth between the two that I had
sure.
without any.
I would say,
I'm
at
staying
this
away from
point,
the beta on
if,
this time.
right, beta is not for you.
At this time, I've
Right.
done it way back when, but,
Okay, but this one's not for you, especially on your work machine.
oh,
So I would say you're gonna be at the mercy of the IT people telling you if or when you can upgrade to the new operating system when it comes out. And it sounds
well, I'm
like they're
more
probably
concerned
not
about
going
the
to.
third-party for example.
Are we talking third party on your work computer or your
No,
personal?
on my work, well, any computer.
No, I need to know, are we dealing with your
All right,
personal
I know
or work?
Adobe is gonna be up there and moving,
Sure.
but, Tax Pro or whatever, are they also, aware of and compatible with and they're?
If they make software for Apple that works with your Mac, if a company makes it, they should be part of the developers program already. They are above the beta program. So they should know this and they should be working on it.
It doesn't work and you can't.
And it's gonna be on that, it'll be on that company.
Back to the.
Right, so if Quicken doesn't work for you for QuickBooks, that's not an Apple issue, that's with Quicken, yeah.
QuickBooks has to become aware that they
Right.
have to deal with.
Which is why I said earlier, check with them first before getting into it, to make sure that they are supporting it, because some of the companies drag their feet for 6 months to a year before they give you that support. So again, your mileage will vary, okay?
Like I said, when I was back in the beta stuff, yeah.
Well,
And now
back then,
I'm
sure,
more conservative.
that's fine, that's okay, yeah, okay, thank you. Phyllis,
Yeah, a lot of the software companies are already, you'll see some of the updates that they're coming out, and they'll say, we're tweaking this to work with. And they're doing it ahead of time, so they've gotten a lot better about it than
Yeah.
they were years ago.
so being proactive is wonderful,
With
but
one major
they have to.
exception, if they're selling it through the Apple store, like the App Store or something like that, Apple does not allow beta software on their store. So
Not beta, but they're allowing tweaks to.
Tweaks, right, but if it requires
updates
like a
that
completely
will
different
make it
version,
compatible across the operating system.
if it requires something completely different that would make it incompatible with the existing
Right,
one.
that's.
Yeah, they'll hold
You'll-
off.
You'll have to
Right.
wait until it's finally released.
Okay,